Configuring Python using enable optimizations with LTO PGO plus LTO is recommended for best performance. The experimental enable bold flag can also be used to improve performance. Enable optimizations. Enable profile guided optimizations PGO using profile underscore task disable by default. The C compiler CLang requires LLVM prof data program for PGO. On Mac OS, GCC also requires it. GCC is just as alias to CLang on Mac OS. Disable also semantic interposition in libpython if enable shared and gcc is used. Add fno semantic interposition to the compiler and linker flags. Profile underscore task environment variable used in the make file. Python command line arguments for the PGO generation task. Default my -m test PGO timeout equal to dollar in bracket test timeout with LTO full thin no yes. Enable link time optimization LTO in any build disabled by default. The C compiler CLang requires LLVM AR for LTO AR on macOS as well as an LTO aware linker ld.gold or LLD enable bolt enable usage for the bolt post link binary optimizer disabled by default. Bolt is part of the LLVM project but is not always included in their binary distributions. This flag requires that LLVM bolt and merge f data are available. Bolt is still a fairly new project, so this flag should be considered experimental for now. Because this tool operates on machine code, its success is dependent on a combination of the build environment plus the other optimization configure arcs plus the CPU architecture, and not all combinations are supported. Bolt versions before LLVM 16 are known to crash Bolt under some scenarios. Use of LLVM 16 or newer for Bolt optimization is strongly encouraged. The bolt underscore instrument underscore flags and bolt underscore apply underscore flags configure variables can be defined to override the default set of arguments for LLVM bolt to instrument and apply bolt data to binaries respectively. Hyphen 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 with computed go tos. Enable computed go tos in evaluation loop. Enable by default on supported compilers. Without pymalloc. Disable the specialized Python memory allocator pymalloc enabled by default. See also Python malloc environment variable. Without doc strings. Disable static documentation strings to reduce the memory footprint enabled by default. Documentation strings defined in Python are not affected. Don't define the with underscore doc underscore strings macro. See the pydoc underscore strvar macro. Enable profiling. Enable C level code profiling with gproof disabled by default. With strict overflow. Add f strict overflow to the C compiler flags. By default we add fno fno strict overflow instead. Python debug build. A debug build is Python built with the with pydebug configure option. Effects of a debug build. Disable all warnings by default. The list of default warnings filters is empty in the warnings module. Add D to sys ABI flags. Add sys.get to get total ref count function. Add hyphen x show ref count command line option. Add hyphen d command line option and Python debug environment variable to debug the parser. Add support for the hyphen hyphen ll trace hyphen hyphen variable. Enable low level tracing in the bytecode evaluation loop if the variable is defined. Install debug hooks on memory allocators to detect buffer overflow and other memory errors. Define pi underscore debug and pi underscore ref underscore debug macros. Add runtime checks. Code surrounded by has has if diff pi underscore debug and hash and if enable assert and underscore pi object underscore assert assertions. Don't set the and debug macro. See also the hyphen with hyphen assertions configure option. Main runtime checks. Add sanity checks on the function arguments. Unicode and integer objects are created with their memory filled with a pattern to detect usage of uninitialized objects. Ensure that functions which can clear or replace the current exception are not called with an exception raised. Check that deallocator functions don't change the current exception. The garbage collector gc.collect function runs some basic checks on objects consistency. The pi underscore safe underscore downcast macro checks for integer underflow and overflow when downcasting from wide types to narrow types. See also the Python development mode and the hyphen hyphen with hyphen trace hyphen refs configure option. Changed in version 3.8. Release builds and debug builds are now ABI compatible. Defining the pi underscore debug macro no longer implies the pi underscore trace underscore refs macro. See the hyphen hyphen with hyphen trace hyphen refs option, which introduces the only ABI incompatibility. Debug options. Hyphen hyphen with hyphen pi debug. Build Python in debug mode. Define the pi underscore debug macro disabled by default. Hyphen hyphen with hyphen trace hyphen refs. Enable tracing references for debugging purposes disabled by default. Effects. Define the pi underscore trace underscore refs macro. Add sys.get objects function. Add Python dump refs environment variable. This build is not ABI compatible with release build, default build or debug build pi underscore debug and pi underscore ref underscore debug macros. Hyphen hyphen with hyphen assertions. Build with C assertions enabled. Default is no. Assert bracket and underscore pi underscore assert. If set, the and debug macro is not defined in the OPT compiler variable. See also hyphen hyphen with hyphen pi debug option debug build, which also enables assertions. Hyphen hyphen with hyphen val grind enable val grind support, default is no. Hyphen hyphen with hyphen dtrace enable dtrace support, default is no. See instrumenting C Python with dtrace and system tab. Hyphen hyphen with hyphen address hyphen sanitizer enable address sanitizer memory error detector ASAN, default is no. Hyphen hyphen with hyphen memory hyphen sanitizer enable memory sanitizer allocation error detector MSAN, default is no. Hyphen hyphen with hyphen undefined hyphen behavior hyphen sanitizer enable undefined behavior sanitizer undefined behavior detector UBSAN, default is no.